today to be able to go to school. And you know that has been mastered by one of our clubs, the Rotary Club of Downtown Manila. And you know, every year, just to show this, they will recognize all the valedictorians and salutatorians in the entire Metro Manila. And that would run to around 500. Okay? 500. They recognize them every year. But of course, these are not all scholars. They have scholars. Okay? Maybe around 50, depending on partner clubs from all over the world. Okay? Now, let us look at art supplies to assist you after school program. Okay? Let us now proceed. Global grants. This is it. Okay? Global grant. This is a long-term project. Okay? Long-term, maybe more than 1 year? Yes. And kindly take note that this should be what? Sustainable. So, let me give you an example. What do you mean by sustainable? For example, your club had a partner club in the Philippines. You sent what? Fire truck. Okay, fire truck. The truck was there. There was what? A ceremony for the formal handover. A year later, the truck was no longer working. The club has no money to have its repair. Right? Sustainable. You sent or you donated a very beautiful medical machine, very expensive, to a club for their community clinic. 2 years. It's not working anymore. The equipment is very what? Costly. Okay? Sustainable. So now if you would see, Rotary is looking at projects which would last for a long period and would be able to sustain on its own. Later on, when I show you our experiences in our district, you will see this. The next one is larger. Why? Why is this larger? Who knows? Why is this larger? Because for global grants, it should be at least 30,000 US dollars. And half of that should be matched by the World Fund, 15,000. Okay? That's the beauty of it. Minimum 30,000 US dollars. Okay, now, and again, you know this already, alignment with the areas of focus. And the next is World Fund match that I will illustrate later on. And 2 options. Kindly take note, on global grants, you have 2 options, club and district develop. And the other one is package grants. You know, last night when I am having dinner with your district governor, we were discussing about other package grants. Okay? We have, around the world, we have now microfinancing. Okay? To be able to assist, okay, the poor in the community. Okay? Now, let me now proceed. Here, club and district proposed project. I will just give you an outline. The World Fund award is 15,000 and a minimum budget of 30,000. This is based on, as I explained, 100% match of the DDF. Okay, look at what's 100% match. I will show you an explanation later on, an actual computation. Let us say my district has a DDF contribution of 3,000 US dollars. The World Fund will match it 3,000, 6,000. Okay? Let's say the district in Hong Kong gave 5,000, it will be matched. By another 5,000, it becomes 10,000. But if it's a plain cash contribution of a club, cash contribution, you donated, let's for example say 1,000 US dollars, it will only be matched by the World Fund, by the Rotary Foundation, 500. So 1,500. So that's how it goes. Global grants must be sponsored by 2 clubs, a host partner where the project will be implemented, okay, and an international partner outside the country. So there should always be a host partner and an international partner. Okay. Now, let us proceed. Before submitting a global grant, sponsors will be required to submit what? A proposal. Please take note of this. Today, before you proceed with a project, you should make what? A proposal to RI. There will be exchange of communications. RI, Rotary Foundation could say, I think your project is not sustainable. I think your project will not fall on global grant. Unlike before. As long as you match, di ba, you match. Matched by Rotary International, Rotary Foundation? Okay, you proceed with your project. Now you have to make a proposal. That's very important. The next is global grants may support a variety of activities but must adhere to the requirements set forth in the terms and conditions. And finally, global grants will not be approved to reimburse clubs or districts for project already completed. Please take note, you have completed the project. And you, oops, I could apply for a global grant on this. If it has already been completed, you cannot apply. Okay? You cannot do it backwards. Retroactive. Okay? It should be looking forward. Okay. Now, humanitarian projects for global grants. It may support projects providing sustainable and measurable outcomes. If you are to remember the words again, the letters again, I, M, S, right? Implementation, management, and stewardship. Now, you also have to remember what? That the project, Global Grant Project, this time Global Grant Project should be SM. You know that's one of the biggest mall in the Philippines? SM, for those of you who've been in the Philippines. Shumart? Yes, you know that. SM, sustainable and measurable. Okay? Meaning it could sustain itself, even beyond the term of the president. You know the problem is, a president is very enthusiastic, very much motivated, there's a project, after his term, the next president, it's not so good. You don't want to proceed with this project. So it should be able to sustain itself. And it's measurable. There is a way to determine or quantify the benefit that it gives to the community. It should be measured. Okay? And the next is, needs assessment. Okay? Needs assessment. You know this is very important. Why is this important? Because number one, you are able to identify the beneficiaries or the community that will receive the same. Number one, identify the community and identify the need. Sometimes the problem is Rotarians have a project that they would want the community to accept. They will, I don't like that project. The community will say, I don't like that project. In fact, I tell you, in some communities in the Philippines, you bring a medical mission. Some people are not so happy with the medical mission. Why? You visit us now. You put stethoscope. You give us medicine for 3 days. How about the rest of my treatment? Where does it go? For some of you who visit other parts of the world through medical mission, you know what I mean, right? Some people, yes, you give me medication, you check me up now. But after this, what? Most especially if it would require a long treatment. Okay? So, you should identify the need of the community, identify the community, and the need of the community. Okay, next. Scholars, how about scholars under the global grant? The study should be what? Should pursue the 6 areas of focus. So if you'll be sending scholars, it should pursue the 6 areas of focus for a global grant. Like peace and conflict. I don't think that's much of a problem here in Hong Kong as a study, right? That's not a problem. Peace and conflict. Okay? Or maybe you would want to send scholar for medical scholars, right? Possible. Okay? You might want to send scholars to have developed expertise on water and sanitation. Yes. And then, and it's very important administratively that there should be a letter acceptance from the university. Okay? Or is chosen university. Next, vocational training. Please take note, this is not yet the vocational training team. This is what? To fund local vocational trainings to support building the benefiting community. Okay? And it is suggested that if you want to do vocational training, it should be in conjunction with what? A humanitarian project. Okay, like for example, to recycle waste materials. Okay? Humanitarian, you give them what? Some business and employment. So it's not only vocational, but should be partnered with some humanitarian projects. Next, global grant may also support vocational training teams and groups of professionals. Later on, before we end, maybe before lunchtime, I will share you the difficulties we had on a VTT. This is what you have now, a vocational training team. Now briefly, let me share this with you. What is the difference between a GSE and a VTT? First difference, the very obvious. It's no longer bound by the period of 1 month. It could be longer. Second difference, it is not mandatorily an exchange. Meaning, a country from where I will send my team did not send a team in the Philippines. Okay, it's not. Unlike before. And number 3, I think this is the most important one. It zeroes in or concentrates on what? A vocation. Okay? A vocation. Let me share with you. I tried it during my term. I tried to work with a district in Arkansas in the United States. You see how difficult it was. I met them during my training as DGE. They talked to me. And it was, the vocation was agriculture, because we're also an agricultural country. But, the selection process was not easy. Because the requirements were very, stiff. The standards were very high. In fact, I was able to build a team already. And when the team was already built, RI said, that one, I don't think is really qualified for agriculture. They will scrutinize. It's harder now. Unlike a GSE. Okay? Now, I will proceed. This is what I said, vocational training team may be multi-vocational. Kindly take note, but must share a common purpose. What do I mean? I will just zero in on that before I move on to the next slide. For example, it's agriculture, I mentioned. Maybe there is what you call the farmer. There is in the part of the team who would be knowledgeable on fertilizers. There will be someone in the team who will be very knowledgeable on farm equipment. That's very important. It's not all of them farmers. So each should pursue one cause. Okay? Each team must consist of a minimum of 1 Rotarian team leader, just like the GSE, and 3 non-Rotarian team members. Is there an age limit? No, there is no age limit. He could be 50, he could be 60. For as long as non-Rotarian, he could form part of the team. But there should be one VTT, as you call it, a VTT leader. Okay, now, oops. Okay. Guidelines. This is guidelines. Kindly take note of this. It's in your manual. Okay, it's listed in your manual. What are the guidelines in proposing? This is just the first step, to propose. Okay? Choose an area of focus. That's the first step. Of the 6 that we have listed, what do I want to proceed? Where do I want to proceed? What is the direction? Identify your area of focus. Then, determine how your project or activity will have sustainable impact. Okay? So first, identify your area of focus. Then, what? Is it sustainable? Number 3, what? Ensure that the projects adhere to the terms and conditions that I will show you later on. And finally, find a cooperating partner, if appropriate. This is one of the harder parts. When we started, how many pilot districts do we have in Rotary? Only 100. And the Philippines had only 2. And because we're a pilot district, we cannot work with non-pilot district like Hong Kong. Some of our clubs had existing and long-time relationships, right? In clubs around the world. So they approached me, Governor, I have a problem. I continue to work with this club, but it's not a pilot district. So you know what we suggest? You look for the pilot district in that country and they work together. They work with us. Okay? Although we were successful to some extent in doing that. Okay? Next. This is now very specific requirements. For humanitarian projects and VTT, ensure what? Community support. Because if you have a vocation, you send people for training, and then they're not used in the community because the community doesn't support, it's useless. Okay? Next, scholarship. Ensure that the scholars are what? Aware of their duties. And this is where your duty as Rotarians will have to come in. You will have to monitor them also. And you will have to see that after the completion, whether they pursue the projects or the scholarships or the knowledge that they have obtained. You have to see that. Otherwise, our scholarship programs will be put to waste. Vocational training team, ensure that the members are aware of the areas of focus and how they will apply their development with the areas in mind. And please take note, it's very important, and I know your leaders here are very good at this. Be able to communicate with Rotary Foundation staff for purposes of eligibility, qualification. You know, communication with the Rotary Foundation, if you have questions, is very important. And that is recognized here. Okay? The next, here, we have simplified it. How to apply? You should submit a global grant proposal, and that is also part of your manual. Okay? It's at the back, an annex. I think that's Annex 2. Later on, we will try to work on that. Okay, we'll try to work on that. The global grant proposal. And the second one is a global grant application. I will not discuss that today because past President Kenneth said there's still a grant management seminar 2, right? There will still be a grant management seminar 2. If I discuss the grant application, there will be no grant management seminar 2. Okay. You may be too happy to have it in half a day. But no, kidding aside, you know, Rotary would want us to be prepared. Okay? It's just like eating. You cannot eat anything and everything and expect to swallow everything, right? Okay? Now, so these are the two. Global grant proposal, and the second one is a global grant application. Okay, let's move on. Here is your checklist. Please take note of this. What is your responsibility as a Rotarian? It's also there in your manual. Okay? What is your responsibility? Identify the need. Okay, as I mentioned, what's the community? What's the need? Who is the Rotarian responsible? Communication with grant partner. If it's a global grant, Rotary Foundation, who communicates? Financial management, who manages the funds? Name the Rotarian. Document retention. Later on, in this first presentation, you will see, I know that there are people here who work and who own companies. That's right. And there is a period within which you are to retain documents. Right? You cannot just dispose it. And we are now applying it in the foundation. The next is evaluation, and you have to report it. Okay? This is the checklist that you will have if you want to proceed with a global grant. Now, qualifications. Okay? Qualifications. Should you be qualified? Are you now qualified? Is the district now? Is the district now qualified? Yes. According to your chair. 2 days ago. Very good. In time for this. The district is now qualified. But the qualification of the district does not mean that the clubs are qualified. Take note of that. The clubs will have to be qualified. Are you to be qualified today? No. Not yet. You're so excited. You will be qualified on the next grant management seminar. So that they will see you again. You will be qualified. But I will touch on how you will be qualified. Okay? But the formal qualification and procedure will be conducted on the second seminar. Okay. For global grants, in order for clubs to be qualified to receive Rotary Foundation grants, they must, kindly take note, read and agree to the club memorandum of understanding. It's in the manual. At the latter part, you will see that. It's very simple. Okay? It's just like an agreement. It's a commitment that you will pursue what? Fund management, stewardship, implementation, retention, okay, and disbursement of funds. All pursuant to what? The memorandum of understanding. You see how it is now? There's a commitment, unlike before. There's a matching grant? Okay, let's proceed. In fact, there was a time I was a president at the turn of 2001. Okay, turn of the century. I was the president then. My governor was mad. Not at me, but at another club. There was a matching grant that he did not know. He did not know that there was a matching grant. Because before, there was no need to have the governor approve it. President, Rotary Foundation, go. Until at the middle of this decade, right? At the middle of the decade, the Rotary Foundation noticed that there should be approval of the governor. So the governor would have to approve, including the chair. Okay? So this is really in order to steward the funds. Okay? Now, kindly take note and send at least, so you just have to read and agree. That will be distributed during your second seminar. And send at least 2 club members. Okay? Are you 2 here for every club? Yeah. I'm just 1. Okay. Are you 2? 2 for every club. You know, in our country, there's also always last minute, I'm not available. I have to do this. I have a rush. There's an urgent work to be done, right? Or there's a family concern that has to be attended to. So we request at least how many participants? 3 in the Philippines. We request at least 3 to make sure that at the very minimum we have 2. Okay? You see? We want to make sure that we hit the requirement of 2. We require 3. Sometimes you require 3. They said 1. Sometimes they don't send anyone. Okay? In fact, when I was having dinner with your governor, he was smiling, there's still another one. It was already around 11 o'clock. Another one who would like to attend today's seminar. Okay? Now, the next, under the plan, kindly take note. Okay, I will repeat. The foundation is requiring districts to qualify. For what reason? Consistent with IMS, financial and stewardship controls. Okay? Financial and stewardship controls. Now, how about district grants? Do you need to qualify? Yes. Okay. Here you have some level of flexibility. Okay? They will also agree and sign the MOU. So that's 1 session. That's 1 session altogether to qualify for the district and the global grant and send at least 2 members. Who are these at least 2 members? You see that? You see this line? I mentioned the 3 members could be, because that's how we do it. We require 3. Okay? So that we get the 2. You see? You see? Okay? Maybe next time you will require 3 so that you will get 2. But do not require 5. Okay. 3 members could be any of the following: the president-elect, the Club Rotary Foundation chair, or the Club Rotary Foundation committee member. Okay? But sometimes, all of them are not available, the club send the member. Okay? Sometimes they're not available, they send the member. Next. Now, let us look at this. We made these additional rules in our country. No district grant application will be accepted from a terminated or suspended club. For that reason, why did we make this as a condition? So that we make sure that they pay the SAR, right? They pay the SAR before August 31, right? We want to make sure, because that's the problem with some clubs. That's the last that they will do. Report of district grants funded project must be submitted as soon as possible. Look at this. We made this also as a requirement. Once we release the funds, you have to make sure that it's completed or work on completing it within a period of 2 months. In fact, in our district, for district grant, there is a district officer who is designated to visit the project. Yes, we are very strict. We want to comply with stewardship. We have a district officer who will visit the project. In fact, in our country, for the district grant, we would require them to submit a spending plan. But that is not required by RI. That is a special requirement that we copied from the global grant. You list down your budget, submit it to us, and then the committee will meet. I sit down with the DRFC chair when I was governor, together with the committee. Is this a feasible project? How about this club? Do you think they will proceed with this project? Then we approve. And once it's approved, we send the same to Rotary International. And only then will they release the funds for the district grant. Okay? Now, a certificate. We come up with a certificate of club qualification which will be effective for 1 year. Okay? Every year, the club will have to qualify. This is a reminder that you have to close your projects. One of the beauties of the future vision, as you will see now, projects could be completed during your term as president. Your past district governors will agree with me that some of the matching grants, the funds will come in after the term of the president, right? After the term of the president. And this is, the projects are implemented when the president has ended his term. So that was a problem before. Okay, now, qualifications. Just a summary. This is only a summary. Clubs in district must be qualified. Number 2, ensure proper legal, financial, and stewardship control. Qualification is simple, as you notice. Read and agree, right? And attend the seminar. Some of you will say, it should have been now that we be qualified. No, it should be in the second seminar. The next is district will be trained to qualify their clubs. Next. Completing the qualification process and having these controls in place will what? Why do you need to qualify? Prepare clubs for grant oversight, improve oversight, simplified user-friendly application. You will say later on when I show you a slide, is it user-friendly? I am not computer literate. Right? But you could have your secretary do it. Or you could have your children do it. Who are more computer literate than we are. And next, give districts and their clubs the resources they need to meet foundation requirements. Okay, next, stewardship. We're about to end the first session. Okay? Stewardship. Okay? Stewardship. Stewardship is the responsible management and oversight of grant funds, which ensures that funds are used properly and benefit population in need. Okay? Now, let us proceed. What are these stewardship practices? Number 1, have Rotarians supervise the project. Okay? Implement project as approved. Follow standard business practice. And this is very important, my next statement. Report irregularities. The very moment you identify irregularity, report to the Rotary Foundation. If you identify irregularity on a district grant, report to the district Rotary Foundation chair so that it could be immediately corrected. Okay. Later on in our last session, which is working on the forms, we have one practice exercise. Okay? And then submit reports, and retain documents. Okay? Let us proceed. Here, oversight and reporting. Okay? Oversight. As I said, oversight and reporting, financial management to properly disburse funds during project implementation. For those of you in the companies, you know how to disburse funds, and it is not much of a problem. But to some, this is a difficulty. Okay, look at this. Fund disbursement. Global grant. Okay, you have to work with your grant coordinator. District grant, you have to work with what? The foundation chair in your district. Okay? Funds disbursement. Financial record keeping. The fund should be distributed and used for the stated purpose only. Cannot be changed. And should be supported by a spending plan. I have to mention this to you because I don't have the form. I did not include the form of the application. This is for the second part. You know, in the application, I have a copy with me. I hand carried it. You will see a list of all the materials that you would need, and you will have to put the cost. Unlike before. So if you will buy this equipment, you will have to say this. If you have to pay so much individuals, you have to put it there. Everything will have to be part of the spending plan or budget. Then project-related in expenditures should be made in check. So the suggestion is, for disbursement, what should you do? In checks. Avoid disbursing payments in cash. Very hard. If there's cash, make sure there's receipts and properly entered in the ledger. It's easier if it's cash. Okay? So that each transaction could be properly monitored. Okay? Bank accounts. We were discussing this right yesterday with your chair and your district governor. Now, you should open a bank account exclusively for that purpose. You cannot commingle with the club funds. That's where the problem comes in. Sometimes there was an error, there was no intention for misuse because it's together. Now, you have a specific bank account that is used solely for receiving and disbursing. So that if RI says, can I see the bank account? They could compare. This is your expenses. When did you withdraw? Right? This was the activity in your bank account. Everything will pertain to the project. Okay. And the suggestion of RI, Rotary Foundation, have what? Low interest or